Okay. Hey everybody, my name is Jaron Christian Ramirez and I'm going to be explaining the volleyball approach slash spike. So just to go into a couple measurements, the volleyball net in this clip is under men's height, and men's height specifically is 7 feet 11 inches and 5'8". But because this net isn't an official net, we measured it to be around 7'11", or maybe an inch under, about 7'10". The ball used is a men's ball created by Molten, and it has a circumference standard at 65 to 67 centimeters, or 25.5 slash 26.5 inches. The weight of the ball is about 9.2 to 9.9 ounces, or 260 to 280 grams. And the ball inflation is set to 4.3 to 4.6 psi. So starting with phase 1, the approach slash vertical jump. This phase itself can be an entire movement alone, but for sake of time and explanation, just going to highlight the main parts of it. So the main things I'm going to focus on is the center of gravity, the power jaw and explosive movement, the penultimate step and block step, and the uses of specific muscles such as the hip, the quad, the arms, and focusing on momentum. So I'm going to play the whole clip in its entirety and go over every little detail briefly just to explain how this movement functions. And this is, if anybody understands, this is the 4-step approach, which is not optimal, but this is what is used in the clip. And this is a clip of myself about 2.5 years ago to 3 years ago, with about 1 year of experience. So starting from this runoff, this is the 4th step out of all the 4 steps, is the first of the 4 steps. So right here, having a low shin angle and having an unstable center of mass allows for the player, or myself in this case, to generate power going forward while pushing along this side. So right here, the arms swing forward, and there's a lack of a good arm swing. This should be a lot more intense or explosive, but it's very passive, but having more would allow for more maximum power. So coming back here, we see another, going here, that 3rd step on the left foot, right there. So that left leg counts as the 3rd step. So this is where the 3-step approach that is optimal would be used. So this angle is very low as well, less than 90 degrees. Less than 45 would be preferred. So as you can see, it helps allow generated power. And the arms swing back in this clip. So you notice this arm swings back to allow the player to propel themselves forward. And there's a little bit of a jump right here before making this step, which is called the penultimate, which is the 2nd to last step in the clip. And having a wider gap here coming from that 3rd step would allow for more forward momentum into power. So you can see the arms are swinging up, and this power is going down into the ground and stopping here on this last step, which is called the block step. So all the linear momentum going this way is now being transferred into the ground. And as those arms had swing back, now they're swinging up to allow for vertical momentum. So just to go over this clip again in its entirety, we have low shin angles and an unstable center of gravity to allow for more momentum going forward. We have another example of a low shin angle allowing for more momentum, swinging the arms back and putting the power down and up to allow for the most amount of vertical jump. Optimally, there would be a lot more powerful arm swings, but for the sake of the clip, this is an example of a mediocre or an okay clip. So the next phase is called the cocking phase, and it focuses on the muscle contractions of the upper trap and basically the entire upper back, and we're going to focus on the upward momentum. So right here, I'm just going to play the clip in its entirety. It's very short. So going back here, that arm comes up, and that arm reaches about a 90-degree angle. So around 90 degrees, this arm comes back with help from the upper back. And right here, opening up the chest and creating max amount of distance that the elbow can reach allows for more room later on during the acceleration phase. But going back here, just having that specific angle allows for the player or myself again in this clip to prepare to accelerate through the ball. So you can see bringing it back, and then as we're going up, those arms are pulled back. So there's a lot of help from the upper muscles in this area. And that's pretty much it for the cocking phase. It's a very short phase, but it's just the preparation for the hit. So the acceleration phase, also known as basically where the moment between the hit and the ending of the hit are. This phase focuses on muscle contraction of the core and chest, momentum of the opposite arm swinging, and the rotation of the angle of the elbow. So I'm going to play the clip in its entirety. And I'll go over every little detail in between right after. Okay, so short as well, but very important. So right here, as that chest is opened up, now these two areas, the core and the chest, are going to be used to contract this arm. This isn't a good example of this arm swinging down, but the arm should be swinging down to allow for a full rotation of this. So this arm should come down as this arm comes up. So right here, you notice that the elbow remained in that angle while it was turning. So going from this backwards angle at 90 degrees to now turning to the front, remaining in that around the same area of degree, about 90 degrees, or over here 86. At this point, this arm is swung down. See, this is a bad example because my arm here is still around this area and then not extended. And right here, the muscles should be contracting and the chest should be contracting right before it reaches this 180 degrees before it contacts the ball. So we have the chest and the core activating the muscles as well as rotating the shoulder and having that arm swinging down to allow for more momentum to bring the other arm forward. And you can see here that it accelerates through. And that's pretty much it for the acceleration phase. Okay, and then lastly, the follow through. So over here, going to focus on where the ball is impacted in the location, rotating the shoulder, and the importance of the follow through just very briefly. So you can see here, as you mentioned, those muscles are contracting. This shoulder is rotating fully through. This arm should come down in this angle, but we'll see in this clip it doesn't do that particularly. So right there, the follow through ends very, very prematurely. While it should come all the way down, it stops really early, and that's not what we want for this clip, or for this movement in particular. In this clip, we see that it ends too early, and having this means that the player possibly could have been holding back or wasn't able to generate enough power all the way through, because once making contact with the ball, there's a chance that they held back on the amount of speed and velocity that they had to put into the ball. The speed of the ball going down is determined by how much speed this arm can accelerate in those moments before it makes contact. So the ball goes down. It looks like it goes out, but it does curve downwards due to the location of the hit. The ball is hit around the top area right here, kind of along this white and green area. So if we go through, the ball makes contact right there, and it is a little bit slightly under, but having this hand kind of flick the ball and make a downward spin on it allows the ball to transfer and go down, and this hits around the back corner of the court and remains in. But of course, generating more power for that vertical jump and going into this moment right here where there's a lack of speed could have allowed for more power in this attack. So just to run over everything again, we have the 4 phases: the approach phase, cocking phase, acceleration phase, and follow through. I'm just going to go over the entire clip. So we're having power drawn through the arms, through the lower body, all those muscles going down and up, having the quad, having the upper back help there. And just to go over it again, have all that power going forward, so the arms and that leg swinging to the front, going down and transferring that linear momentum into a vertical, reaching up and cocking the arm back, keeping that 90-degree angle, rotating that elbow forward, keeping the same angle, and having that arm swing down and these muscles contract to allow this arm to extend and go straight, and then make contact with the ball to allow it to go to where the player desires. And following through, but there's a lack of follow through in this clip, but following through would allow for more, I guess, a psychological or mental way of powering through the hit. So rather than holding back, there would be more power. But this is the clip once again. Acceleration phase. Acceleration phase is a very long moment of it. So we have cocking phase, acceleration phase, and follow through. So that is my project. These are the references. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. Most of these sources had a lot of references in their own, so I couldn't reference everybody's, but these were both anonymous authors and they had a lot of references on these sites. So if you want to look into these, just see the movements that I chose and see how it was analyzed, you can check out these links. And that's all for my presentation.